So there are multiple important things I want to share with you in this video. First of all is the fact you should not be spending your valuable materials to tune your current gear. In 1 week, we'll be getting legendary gear. I also want to highlight what actual gear you should be going for PvE boss damage. The recommended is not always the best. So let's get into the details. First of all is the fact our next breakthrough will be a little bit different. As you can see, it's in 6 days and it will just give us epic quality level 61 gear. Usually, when we get a level cap increase, we would get level 66 gear for this, as we did for our level 8 breakthrough. We got level 61 gear that we're rocking right now. So this next breakthrough is different. And the reason is because instead of getting blue gear, we get epic gear, but then we will be able to work towards legendary gear of the same level that we're currently using. So if you spend valuable resources to trait your current level 61 purple gear, you're completely wasting it, because next week you're going to want to have those same materials like this here. When used as tuning material, the next is a guaranteed purple or above. And you have ones which give you guaranteed legendary and above. Do not be using them on level 61 purple gear. Save them for next week when we get legendary gear. Only after that, when we get to breakthrough 10, will we get level 71 gear. So we are completely skipping level 66 gear. So what you should be doing right now is collecting gear and saving it. And in terms of gear drops that you get, and if your inventory is getting full, you're going to want to recycle gear. And you don't want to recycle everything. There are certain filters you want to have enabled in order to sort through gear and make sure you're saving the ones with the right stats for tuning. Now, I have heard rumors where some people were saying if you only input gear that has offensive stats as material for tuning, then you would always get offensive stats in return. This is not true. It is just due to the fact we don't have as many defensive stats as we have offensive stats. So yes, you get scenarios where you only get damage stats on a piece of gear when you tune, but sometimes you will still get defensive stats even when only using gear with offensive stats, like body here. All that is important to save for tuning are the ones that guarantee a certain quality trait, the gold ones and the purple ones. And you can save gear that gives extra XP, so you don't have to use tuning stones to make up these progress points. Just make sure you add that piece which guarantees the quality of the trait in the middle or before you reach that next point, and that way you will gain that. But again, do not do this right now with purple gear. It is an absolute waste. Wait until next week and we'll be able to use our existing level 61 gear with this level 61 legendary gear. So in terms of these filters, when you're sorting usable gear, you can have it on gold and below at the highest level that we have, and have this on untraceable. If you have it untraceable, it will bring up gear pieces that are part of lore and storyline, and you can get some extra rewards and cosmetics for these. It doesn't matter what you have here for the sets, just have them all selected. What matters is the stats here. You can save the ones for XP material for tuning rather than using tuning stones or other gear. Gets particularly useful later on when we need so many tuning points to get each perk. And yes, the best ones are guaranteeing a minimum quality perk when you do tune. But the rest of these are simply just for filtering gear that you drop so you don't end up accidentally recycling something that may be useful to you. Ideally, before you tune something, it will have a legendary perk to start with. All of these perks give you martial power as well, so legendary ones will give you more. But you don't have to overly worry about this even when we get our first set of legendary gear, because later we will get tier 71 gear, which will completely surpass the tier 61 gear. Only by this point, when we reach that end game when we are at the level cap, and we're going to be there for probably a month or two, then it becomes important to find the right pieces and optimize your build with the right stats. Finally, let's have a look at the different gear sets and see which ones you should actually be using in PvE boss fights. So if we look at the Jade Wire set, you can see this will give you a boost to affinity damage. It looks pretty powerful, but the problem is it has a 30-second cooldown with only a 12-second duration. So it is just not reliable. The Hawkwing set, on the other hand, can give you a maximum of 10% of physical attack, which means all your damage everywhere pretty much gets boosted by 10%. And so this becomes super good. As long as you maintain attacking your target, have dots on the target, you're going to easily maintain this effect. Having Dragon's Breath on your target will go a long way to help maintain it too. The Rain Whisper set is a very good option, but only if you have HP shield. The 10% crit damage is far inferior to just 10% damage boost everywhere. So unless you're a tank and you can have that shield all the time, I would not use this set. The Swallow Call set, 15% to light attacks, can be very useful to your dual blades when you run the rope dart and get all those extra rat hits from those light attacks. However, this light attack damage will not apply to mystic skills or dot effects from inner ways, so it will still usually not be as good as the Hawkwing set, which is 10% even to your mystic skills. As for the Mist Swallow set, you may think this would be useful to anyone who runs Umbrella. However, it is not worth it. In order to trigger it, you have to do a heavy attack, which yes, on an Umbrella you could hold this down and do this heavy attack, but that cast time to gain a 12% damage boost is not worth it compared to a 10% damage boost all the time. And again, it won't apply to your dot effects, your mystic skills. So even though this is recommended, I would not go with it. As for the Ivory Bloom piece here, this does look pretty promising, but you have to always be at max HP. Now this will depend on your healer, but in most cases you might take a dot or a little bit of chip damage, and then if you're not instantly getting topped up, you are just losing damage output. And so it just ends up not reliable. But maybe later on, depending on your group, people might go with this set. The Whirl piece set is just for PvP to knock down the target, and then the Mountain Fall piece. If you average out the damage you gain here, it's going to be less than 10% since this only applies for the first half of the fight. So yeah, the Hawkwing set is pretty much the best set that most people should be using. So just another thing to be aware of is if you are selecting this set, whenever you open your gearboxes, you're going to get the Eagleries set as your defensive setup. And this is actually fine. You can maintain that bonus nearly all the time by just having Dragon's Breath on the target. And a lot of builds may also use Fivefold Bleed, which will also maintain the set effect. So that's it for the video. Thanks all for watching, and we'll see you guys around.